Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Overland and Chelsea. It's me, Elizabeth slash Ellie, whatever you want to call me. I'm joined by Matisse. As always, Matisse, it's been a second because you were off in Paris. How was it?
It was good. It was good. I enjoyed. Just took a little break. Has to be done really. When you're covering football all year round, and obviously the summer as well. Like there is no time to really take a break if you're doing YouTube. It's every single day. There's something to talk about. So, yeah, I thought I'd take a little week off, and yeah, it's good to be back.
Nice. I'm still waiting for you to come to Madrid though.
Yes, that's the next one. I've got so many stops. People are saying America, Madrid, so much. There's so much. But as you know, if you take a break, the algorithm will kill you. So I have to be careful.
You can film content while you're here. There's no problem.
I saw your Barcelona Atletico Madrid piece on Instagram as well. Just went up. So yeah, I see what you're doing. I see you.
Trying to expand a little bit, especially taking advantage of the fact that I'm literally in Madrid. So trying to cover that side of it a little bit more, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about. Somebody's asking, are you fluent in French?
No, absolutely not. I tried to get a few sentences together just so they could see that I was trying my best, but no, I'm not fluent in French. Unfortunately, I wish I was. I wish I was fluent in a few languages, but unfortunately, I'm not. So yeah, that's just what it is.
When I went to France, they could tell that I was American. They could just I don't know, something from the way that I look. I don't know. They could tell, but anyways, we have so much to talk about. Mandu winning the AFCON, the game with Lukaku as well. I want to get your thoughts on that because and I'm really keen to get your thoughts. And of course, the Club World Cup, which is, I don't know why I had it in my head that it's today, but it's tomorrow.
Thank God. Thank God, by the way, because otherwise, content-wise, I would have been a big surprise for everybody.
Yeah. I guess I knew that we were doing this, and for some reason I was like, "Oh yeah, because there's a game." And there's no 100. Game today; it's tomorrow. So I do just want to take a moment to talk about Edouard Mandu because what a freaking year this man has had, and to think about where he started from being unemployed, really such an inspiration, and now he's gone on and won the Champions League, the Super Cup, the African Cup of Nations, maybe a Club World Cup as well. Yeah. What are your thoughts? What a steal, right? Why don't we make more of these guys? Is what I think.
The one time we probably do a bit of scouting in terms of finding someone that's not obvious, because no one really knew about Edouard Mendy before we signed him. That was a complete Petr Cech move on his part. Loves the French league, knows obviously the French league very well from his playing time there. And just likes the league in terms of talent. So, and obviously when it comes to goalkeepers, there's no better person who to ask. So that was the one time where we did a bit of scouting where we signed a player that nobody knew about. It wasn't the obvious name. It wasn't someone that we faced in the Champions League group stage like we've seen before with Mohamed Salah and Willian and Hakim Ziyech. It wasn't an obvious name who'd put up high statistics in other leagues. It was someone that we didn't really know too well, but they'd obviously done their homework. They looked at the metrics and they said, this is the guy to replace Kepa. And they got it absolutely spot on because since he's come in, he's been one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to start a controversy by saying he's been the best because obviously some people are going to put forward, other goalkeepers, and that's fair enough. But for me, he deserves to, at minimum, be called world class and one of the best goalkeepers in the world because what he's done has been ridiculous, and you only have to look at even in AFCON where for me, Senegal, they deserve to win that game so comfortably. They should have won before half time. It should have been wrapped up. They had all their threat really coming from Sarr down the right hand side, the Watford winger. Mane, Salah was the media hype, but that wasn't really what the final was about. It was really the Egyptian goalkeeper versus Senegal's right wing, which was just cutting up Egypt's defense every single time. But even then, when it gets to penalties, I'm thinking to myself, that's not Mendy's strong point. Probably now the Egyptian goalkeeper is going to have the edge, and Egypt are probably going to manage to find a way to win this despite not deserving it. But Mendy does find a way to make a save, 1 out of the 4 penalties, which is great, and gets the win. And it's so deserved for him. Like you said, unemployed, could have easily given up. And that's a proper inspiration. You know, we talk about right now footballers in terms of their personalities being up for questions so often these days. Every single day there seems to be a new headline in terms of a footballer doing
Oh
something
my
wrong.
God, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into specifics right now, but obviously it's every day at this point. But Mendy, you know, that's an inspiration right there. You know, that's someone who, you know, really was looking like he wasn't even going to be a footballer, and he's managed to rise through the ranks and get back and get to the pinnacle. So yeah, man, it's great. And hopefully now the FIFA awards, you know, going forward this year, they might actually put some respect on his name, because I don't know how Donnarumma I don't know how Donnarumma ever spoke to this man. I don't know how he spoke to this man in terms of individual honors, because, you know, if we're talking about winning a European competition or winning an international competition, Donnarumma did it with Italy. Mendy did it with now with Senegal, but club wise, it's not even a competition, so it's mad.
Yep. Yeah, it really is mad. And kind of pivoting to talk about the Club World Cup, you know, Mendy's going to have a massive flight. He's coming off the back of playing a ton of games for Senegal as well. Start him in goal, or Kepa, who's been pretty strong and saved the penalty against Plymouth at the weekend as well, has done a good job for Chelsea. Who are you starting in goal?
Tomorrow, I would look at Kepa, just purely because Mendy's only just finished that game on the Sunday. Now, Sunday to Wednesday is not a problem in the normal season. So, but you have to put into account Mendy has been playing AFCON when all the other players have been on a break. So, and he's obviously just finished celebrating, and I don't know, you know, what kind of celebration's been going on in that dressing room, but I saw the crowds and it was looking wild. So I think he deserves to potentially just have the rest of this midweek, you know, to just get back up to speed. And then come in for the final. I think we should be able to deal with this team, you know, no disrespect to them, but we should be able to deal with this team with Kepa in goal. Kepa has been good for us, like you said. Igalo is their main striker, the former Manchester United and Watford striker. He's quite old now. We should be able to deal with him with our defence. The big threat from them is Piera, the former West Brom attacking midfielder. He was the one that scored a brace at Stamford Bridge in the 5-2 win last season. He was meant to or expected to make an in-league move to maybe a West Ham or an Everton or someone up from West Brom, but he obviously went to Saudi Arabia instead. So that's the main threat. But in terms of their attack in Arsenal, their attack is their strongest part of their team. Of course, that's where most of these leagues do tend to invest when they get some money. Same with China, when they signed, you know, Tevez and Oscar and Hulk and all these players came over. They don't really tend to invest in the defense. So their defense, you know, is probably going to be quite weak. But their attack is the main thing to look at. But even still, we should be dealing with their attack. You know, they lost Gomes, former Lyon striker, Swansea striker. He used to do that crawl in the prayer. I don't know if you guys remember that celebration. He used to do that when he scored. And he was top scorer with 24 goals this season, and he's been sold to Galatasaray early February, so they've lost him. So I think we should be able to deal with this team in the semi-final. Then in the final, I'd bring Mendy back. But if Mendy's ready and he wants to play, I know he's in the squad, then go for it. But I just don't know how much time he's had to really recuperate and go again, you know, and train and whatnot. Since obviously the celebrations on Sunday, he probably hasn't trained that much. So I'd say save him for the final.
I tell you, when I saw those pictures of him, I was thinking, wow, he looks really jacked. Like, I don't know if it's just like the jersey that he was wearing, but it looked like he had put on some muscle. I don't know. You mentioned that really their defense probably isn't so good, but our attack has not been so good. And against Plymouth, yet again, goals scored by two defenders in Aspie and Alonso. And personally, I didn't think that we played well in that game. Like, I really thought that we brought it down to the wire.
Yeah, we didn't play well. It's a weird one because we dominated. We had like 41 shots. So in some aspects, we did play well because we did dominate the game, but we were still a little bit hairy at times in transition. Plymouth did have their moments despite we have the majority of the possession. But I just think once again, it's down to us not taking our chances again. You know, the shooting wasn't great. Ziyech could have had a goal for himself, but he obviously wanted to bring it back on his left foot. If that was a right-footed winger, they probably would have taken it first time. Hudson-Odoi's shooting was poor again, outside the box, scuffing his shot straight into the keeper. That was poor. But it was Ziyech and Mason that were creating everything down that right-hand side with Aspie. It was brilliant down there. Great 1-2s, great link-up play. Yeah. And unfortunately, like you mentioned earlier in the show, we had a statue, you know, musical statues in the box. He doesn't want to move. He just wants to stay stationary.
The
lamppost without a light. That's what we're calling him. The lamppost without a light right now. Do you know what I'm saying?
My god!
It's just nothing going on, Ellie. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. There's nothing going on in that box. When the ball goes in, it's just like this. You know, it's just stationary. You know, more thumbs up, expected thumbs ups. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what we're gonna start doing now. I'm getting bored of it, man. I want to see Kai on the pitch. Seriously.
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on this because I think one of the biggest complaints, I guess that's the right word, complaints that Lukaku had in his interview was that Chelsea weren't playing to his style of play. But I feel like now that, especially in that Plymouth game, like you will not get a better opportunity to score realistically. Like we were feeding him so many balls. There were so many crosses going into the box as well. And like you said, I didn't see him moving. I thought that he was really stagnant. So do you think that we have, or the team has improved the way that they're trying to get him into the game, but that he just isn't doing his part at this point?
100%. Like you're playing Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, Mason, probably the most direct wingers in terms of passing in the team that we could select from, and he's still not getting anything. You know, he's still not getting himself going. Hudson-Odoi is fizzing the ball into the box for him, and he's miscontrolling it and being dispossessed. The crosses are coming in at a good height. You know, he's got low crosses from Mount. He's got high crosses from Ziyech. Doesn't matter what height, what trajectory, he's still not getting to them. The ball comes straight across the box and he's inches away again. Remember when I was on your show last season, and we was talking about strikers that don't want to eat food? Again, just don't want to eat.
That was one of my favorite analogies that you've ever done, by the way.
I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it, and I wish it didn't ring true, but it really does. It's Ziyech in the kitchen once again. Do you know what I'm saying? Cooking all the ingredients out, working hard, doing the 9 to 5, and then you go to put the food on the table, and this brother's just, it's almost like a child just spitting his dummy out and just dashing the plate on the floor. Just doesn't want none of it, and it's like we've made you a nice home cooked meal, and you don't want it. Like, what more do you want from us? It's the excuses that are being made for this guy is incredible, because I saw someone in Tammy Abraham who had deficiencies in his game. He missed chances. He didn't quite get to the ball, but you could at least see the effort. At a bare minimum, what you want from your players is some effort. And I don't know, maybe I've just overestimated the way that he acts on the pitch. Maybe this is just his style to not really, you know, put in the effort that we're expecting. But I don't know, it's just not working out right now. And I think Kai deserves to go up front. Kai came on, started making he started making horizontal movements and opening up gaps in between the lines, and then suddenly he manages to get an assist after a good 1-2 and pulls it back for Alonso. I just think it's hilarious that after all these changes, we've got more attackers on the pitch, and it's still the wing backs or full backs that are getting the goals. It's still Azpilicueta and Alonso that get the goals after all of this.
I tell you, Aspi was like the one making the run into the box, like time after time in that match. I don't think he usually is that far forward, but in that game especially, I noticed that he was one of the only players in the box.
But it's almost like the management staff knew that once again we needed proper movement in the box, someone that was actually going to make runs. So Aspi was the first person to try that down the right, gets the goal. And then now we're looking, then Plymouth's defense started to adjust and defend that situation. And obviously Malang Sarr's not going to do that on the left. So they bring on Alonso, and Lord and behold, we get a goal down that side as well, doing exactly the same thing. It's like the movement from the wing backs or the full backs, or whatever you want to call them, this season has been better than the striker in the box. Like that is the facts of the matter. It's crazy.
It is really crazy. And what I remember that I wanted to say something Lukaku. At the beginning of the season, when everybody was like so hyped, like, yes, he's coming home, blah, blah, blah. Like, I felt that he played with a certain confidence, especially, I don't remember who it was against. It was like his first goal that he scored for us after he returned, where he kind of took a touch and then he went past the keeper and then he scored the goal. And he knew like exactly what he wanted to do. And I just don't see that confidence anymore. And it makes me feel like, I don't know. I really feel that I have high expectations from somebody who costs 100 million pounds. Like, regardless of anything that happens, I'm going to hold that player to a higher standard because they cost a lot of money and they're supposed to be the solution to Chelsea's goal scoring problem. And then for him to not perform, but then have the interview and then not perform still after the interview, I can't help but feel that he's put this pressure onto himself a little bit. And
100%.
I don't know, I guess it must be difficult because I bet that the fans, well, I don't know, maybe if you've been to Stamford Bridge or if anybody in the comments has been to Stamford Bridge, let me know what the atmosphere is like when he's on the ball or when he comes onto the pitch, but I can't imagine that it's so pleasant.
No, it's definitely lukewarm. I'd call it lukewarm. I think everybody knows not to get onto him too much because that's counterproductive, but at the same time, no one's really, it's not the same love that he got at the beginning of the season. You know, he was getting ridiculous, unwavering amounts of love. He was like the solution, as you said, and it's partly his own. Well, it is his own fault. You know, if he's now lacking confidence or he's distracted, it's because of it's because of himself. It's because of his own words in his own decision to take that interview and ruin his own environment, so to speak. So it's all self. It's all. Yeah, it's all self-inflicted. And another point is the fact that, you know, he holds himself to such high regard. And I love a bit of confidence as much as anyone, but I also like a little bit of realism and a little bit of self-assessment. And when you start to put your name in the same bracket as Benzema, Lewandowski, Harry Kane, Luis Suarez in his prime, okay, well then show us then. Where's this Luis Suarez? Where's this Harry Kane? Where's this? Because Harry Kane's been sleeping for most of the season and he's still now outscored him. So you're putting yourself up with strikers that are doing it at the Champions League level, which is something Lukaku is still yet to do in his prime. You're putting yourself in that discussion. You got to deliver, and you can't keep blaming systems and blaming tactics, because now not only are we servicing you in the last couple of games, Tottenham and Plymouth, but look at Benzema. That's a striker that has had to play second fiddle to Ronaldo. He's had to operate in different roles and instructions in that forward line. Sometimes he's the out and out striker. Sometimes he's got to play the false nine. You don't see no excuses from him. That's a top striker at the top level consistently year in, year out. You can get the goals and that's all great. But if it's down to the system, then you better give the credit to the system sometimes as well. But if you're going to come in here and say that you are someone that is systemless, well then what's the big problem? Where's the output? Do you know what I'm saying? It's you can't have it both ways. Either you're a player that depends on a system being tailored for you and you humble yourself and admit that and give credit to that, or you're a systemless player like an Eden Hazard when he was at his best. You don't need no system. You can just deliver the goods whenever, and then that will show. Lukaku's not looking like someone who could deliver under multiple different managers for sure at this football club, which is what this club is used to. So someone saying Lukaku will come good. Listen, we have to hope, because if he doesn't, I don't know what we're going to do, because we spent a lot of money on this guy.
Do you think that he looks like somebody that wants to play for Chelsea?
No, not at the moment. I wouldn't say so. I mean, he said it himself, right? He said that, you know, he's got plans obviously in the future to go elsewhere. So I don't know. It's difficult. I can't really read him anymore because you don't really know what's real from what's fake. So I have no idea what he wants to do. It's just you need to fake it till you make it until the end of the season, in my opinion. And then if you can find a solution, if we can find a solution for him, take a bit of a loss. I saw a report saying today that Roman Abramovich is siding with Tuchel on the Lukaku situation, in terms of he's watching Lukaku closely to see if he's delivering. I like that. You know, if you're going to play Lukaku week in, week out, at least it's showing the board, listen, he's playing. So whatever happens on the pitch now with him is there for you to see. He's playing games. I'm not benching your £100 million asset. So if he's not performing, at least you can see it with your own two eyes, which I think is probably a smart move. It's not great in the short term right now because we're not playing as well as we could be. But in the long term, if he's out there sacrificing almost himself by putting in poor performances, then at least the board can see that. But he doesn't look like he's playing for us right now. No, I think he's been quite poor. I think he's getting worse. Really, last two games have been probably his poorest performances since the interview. Yeah,
and we haven't faced anybody who's been really tough opposition either.
I mean, he was at fault for the goal. No one talks about it, but he was at fault for the goal on the weekend. Yeah. It was his man. So I don't know. I just I'm kind of getting bored of it because I want to see Havertz play. I think Havertz. He's just as big as an investment as Lukaku.
That's what I was going to say. Like, we're talking as if Havertz did not cost a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
He was like 80 million or something like that. So
100%. Like when you're you shell out such an outlay for him as well. His trajectory and his improvement and his you know, environment in the team is just as important as Lukaku. I know obviously there's always politics, but these are two extremely expensive players. And if you're picking right now priorities, I'd obviously be going with Kai. But I'm just hoping that if he doesn't kick on, that he's just sold and we just cut our losses and we don't do what we did with Kepa. Even though Kepa has bounced back to a degree, I'll always say it, no matter what Kepa does.
Never gave that, like,
yeah,
to be. He never really fell out with the fans. It was more just he was
really
putting
poor.
in really. He was really low on confidence,
and that's the difference. Exactly, is that Kepa cost a lot, and he has been a waste of money. Let's be real. Like, yes, he's saved us in penalties and he's had big moments, but he still is not lived up, and I don't think he will live up to that price tag. It's kind of impossible. It's not his fault, but he's not a second choice goalkeeper on those wages and on that price tag. But at least you can say with Kepa, he's part of the team. He's not causing any uproar. Great mentality to come back. And yes, financially, he's a bit of a burden, but that's not really a big problem as much so as being a financial burden. And then personality wise, attitude wise, you're also a burden. So yeah, man, it's just, I hope we don't go down the same road of keeping him for years upon years like we did with Kepa, because I think Lukaku right now, mentality wise, with what he's done and his attitude, I don't think he's on the level of Kepa right now in terms of keeping and keeping him for years on years like that.
It's an interesting point that you kind of touched on, and Andrew mentioned this as well. He says Tuchel's forced to pick Lukaku purely because of the 98 million price tag, as the board doesn't want his market value to drop. So do you think that Tuchel is really using this as like, hey, he's not doing what he's meant to be doing. I'm playing him, and kind of not being forced to play him, but maybe think that it's smarter to play him than rather just let him sit on the bench. And also, if he sits on the bench, maybe his market value goes even further down because he hasn't played football.
Yeah, no, 100%, exactly. You have to protect the market value, because if we are going to sell him in the summer, and I don't know who's going to come in, I think there's only a handful of clubs that might look at him. I think maybe Atletico Madrid. I think he suits them a little bit. PSG always prone to throwing money around, but I doubt. I'd be surprised if they came in for him. Someone mentioned the Harry Kane Lukaku swap to get him to Conte. That's not going to happen. There's very few options here on the table. So yeah, we do have to kind of protect the value of the player. But this is why it's just what I hate. I hate these political things that come into it, or all these little extra facets that come into it, because really it's not of the benefit to the team really to have to prioritize someone's market value over their performance. So yeah, it's just annoying. We're going to have to do a very smart deal in the summer if we do get rid of him. It's going to have to be some sort of swap deal, which doesn't happen very often in football. Some sort of transfer fee maybe spread out over 5 years in installments if he is to be sold. No one's going to go up front and tell you that they're going to spend 80 million on Lukaku up front. It's going to have to be over installments. It's going to have to be sweetener with some sort of swap. Something is going to have to be done in terms of an intelligent deal, complicated deal. But that's only if he doesn't improve. If he improves, like I said, when the apology came out, I'm only interested in performances. I'm not interested in handwritten letters. I'm not interested in sending pigeons. I'm not interested in interviews on Chelsea TV, which are read from some sort of teleprompter. I'm just here for the performances, and when the performances come, then we can talk. Until then, you got a lot of making up to do.
So if you had to think or predict right now, Lukaku next season, is he at Chelsea? What are you saying?
He probably is, unfortunately. He probably is. He probably is, because I just don't see who's going to purchase him. I really don't. It's a lot of money to shell out, and his wages are very high as well. Someone said Felix for Lukaku. It's another option. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, like, he probably will be. Unfortunately, he probably will be. But I'm hoping not, because I'm not gonna lie. I really don't like him anymore. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really don't. I don't really like the guy anymore in terms of just what he represents on the pitch for us. I don't like it. I think we had a much stronger unity before he joined in our Champions League win. And yes, we needed a striker, and we needed somebody to put the ball in the back of net. We needed to improve, but Not like this for me, not like this at all.
Yeah, makes total sense. It's really frustrating as well because I felt that we played with like such a continuity.
Yeah, continuity. Yeah.
You know, and last season, given we weren't creating so many, well, we were creating a lot of chances, but we weren't converting so many chances. But this season, I just feel like it's kind of disrupted the dressing room a bit, and I really hope that that doesn't continue to affect the players and the manager because I really, really love the team. I'm just going through the comments. Steven says, "You're closing in on 11K. One more big push." It's been months, guys. It's been freaking months. So if you are enjoying this stream, we do this every week. And yeah, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow Matisse as well. Like the video. You know it all. I'm going to stop plugging now.
It's not easy, man. It's not easy.
It's not easy, and I don't know what's happened. Like,
yes. Listen, it goes in waves. I'm telling you, it goes in waves. I think when we start getting to the last stage of the Champions League, hopefully, and you know what I mean, that's when hopefully things kick up again. So
I hope that we beat Lille because with the way things are going, like I just don't know. I really don't feel like we've put in that many good performances. Maybe against Liverpool was the last time that I felt like pretty happy with the performance, I would say.
Tottenham was good as well, but when you beat them 3 times in a row, you have to start looking at them and thinking, wow, you guys are really not, maybe we're holding you in too high esteem right now because it's actually mad how bad you are. Like when we beat Tottenham the first 2 times, I was like, cool. And then we beat them the 3rd time, and I started looking at them fuzzy. I was like, I'm not really sure you guys are as good as I thought you were. I really need to bring you down in my estimations. It's nuts. Obviously, credit to us, but they are just something else when they play us. I don't know what's going on with them.
I know. And I saw like a lot of Spurs fans on Twitter, like, why do I even get my hopes up again playing against Chelsea? And I was like, yes. We love it. I am a little bit worried for the Champions League because of these performances, but I wanted to ask you, do you know anything about Reece James? Because I saw that he was training lightly. He's traveled with the team. Do you have any idea about how close he is to coming back? Because I think that's going to be like a really big boost.
Yeah, I think so. He is training with the team lightly, like you said. I think for me personally, I don't expect to see him in this Club World Cup. I think you might see him on the bench, but I think they'll refrain from using him and stick with Azpilicueta for these 2 games. And then the first Premier League game back, you might see Reece James hopefully come into the team, maybe come off the bench or potentially even start. It depends how the training goes, but they are cautious with not rushing him back because we can't afford for him to get injured again. Like we really can't. Talk about Champions League hopes. We're already kind of screwed down the left-hand side. We saw against Plymouth a little moment where Malang Sarr still, gave away the penalty. I keep saying, yes, he has done very well for what, I mean, he didn't cost anything. So the expectations with Malang Sarr are ridiculously low. So anything he does really right now is really good for us. And he's been a very good squad player in the last few months or so. He's been able to be utilized. But when we get to the Champions League and we play the top teams and we come up against the top wingers, your Leroy Sané's, your Gnabry's, your Vinicius Juniors, if they go onto that side, they will expose the left-hand side. I have no doubts about that whatsoever. So we as tough as it is to say, and I know we want to hope we're not probably going to win the Champions League. We have to be real here. It's to do it back to back is not easy, and then to do it back to back without some of your most important players in Chilwell, who was excellent against Mahrez in the final. If we didn't have him versus Mahrez, I don't know what, something else could have gone on over on that side. Mahrez would have done a madness. So we're just a bit weak on that side, and obviously Lukaku is probably in an attacking sense in terms of off the ball and the pressing has probably made us weaker as well because we haven't fully adapted either or. I don't know. I don't even want to say adapted anymore, but we haven't found the chemistry and the solution with him. So we're kind of weaker up front as well. So we're just not as strong as we were last season. But hopefully we can do something crazy. But yeah, without someone on that left-hand side, it's going to be something I think that costs us at some point.
Well, even we saw before Reece got injured that Tuchel started playing Reece on that left-hand side, which I'm not really like so for. But I do think, like, if I had to pick between Azpilicueta and Alonso defensively, I'd rather have Aspi on the pitch and then maybe put Reese, but only for like very special,
Yeah.
massive games. Just because I feel like Alonso could quite easily get overrun. But Aspi has not been as fast either. I mean,
No, I think if in the Champions League, I still have reservations on this team back four at the highest level. We've seen them play a back four now against Tottenham, who didn't offer much going forward. We've seen it briefly in a few games now, but we'll see. You know, in the back four in the Champions League, will this team be able to handle it? I still think they're missing some components in midfield and defense that get that done at the highest level, but we'll see. And even still, if that was the case, I would probably put Aspie at left back if we really needed him to go over there, and Reece at right back. I wouldn't move Reece to left again. I think Reece is so important going forward in terms of giving the early delivery, the chemistry he could potentially build up with Ziyech, who seems to be back in form now. You need to have Reece going forward. If you put him on the left, and you ask him to cut inside, it's just, I don't know. I think it could work as an inverted fullback. You know, we've seen Cancelo do it at Manchester City, but I just think that's what you do when you have a right back that's also going forward as well on the other side. I think if you're going to do that whilst still being quite defensive down the right, then I don't know. I don't think it really, I think it's overcomplicating things, and we saw Pep overcomplicate things as well, and that backfire. So I'd probably keep Reece down the right and just not kind of do what Klopp did, which was, you've got problems at centre back, you take midfielders out of midfield, put them at centre back. Now your midfield is compromised, your defence is still compromised. I think that's kind of similar how I'd feel with Reece. If he went to the left is still not really perfect, and then the right is still compromised as well. So you're just killing two birds with one stone, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Just throwing solutions out there. You think we'll see Kennedy at all since we've brought him back?
Kennedy's an interesting one, because I've seen quotes from Tuchel saying that he'd watched him and he liked him and whatnot. And I don't know if this man's trying to lie to me in broad daylight, but listen, I'm going to believe it anyway, because I believe everybody's telling the truth until they lie. But the fact that he's even given, I mean, listen, he kind of has to, innit? Kennedy's back in the team. You've got to give him a bit of hope. But I don't think Kennedy will get used unless it's very, very, dire circumstances. I think if he goes back to a back three and he's playing left wing backs, then I think Kennedy gets into the conversation with maybe Alonso as maybe a deputy to Alonso. Maybe he could start over Alonso if he impresses, but if he's playing the back four, then he's going to play Sarr, and I think he should. And I don't really think Kennedy's going to play in the front line at any point. So it's really got to be a wing back situation, and then Kennedy would be the depth to start off with. But I don't know. I don't think we'll see too much of him, to be honest.
Yeah,
he's just there for depth.
I don't think so either. Especially if we play with wing backs, we've even seen Callum or Pulisic come in and play wing back. I'm just keeping an eye on my computer battery because
I know, yeah. You're worrying me, because if this goes full screen and you disappear, I already know what's happened.
I'm just warning you guys, just a heads up. I need to sort this situation. I still don't know how to set up my little space here. But talking about the Club World Cup, it is tomorrow. How important is it that we win this comp?
It's very important. It's literally, I'm not going to say season defining, but it is very, very important that we win this trophy. Like, I think the players have mentioned that when they've been speaking in a few interviews or pressers. Azpilicueta did an interview. He spoke about the importance of it. Obviously, he lost the final the first year he was here after the Champions League win. He came with the likes of, with Torres and Mata and Lampard. They all obviously played that game and lost against Corinthians. So Mason Mount spoken about it, Christensen spoken about it. So we absolutely have to win this game. And we know who's in the final now. And that was expected as well. So we knew they were going to win that game. They're just, in terms of quality, they were always going to override their opposition. So we cannot lose this. We're a cup team this season now. We're not fighting for the Premier League. We've got the Carabao Cup final. We've got this cup, and then we've got the FA Cup. But you look at this Chelsea squad, they haven't won enough yet. I know they won the Champions League, which was incredible. They got the Super Cup, but they've lost back-to-back FA Cup finals as well. So it's 2 out of 4 since Lampard came in, and since this whole La Cobham project maybe got off to a start. So I think they definitely need to bag some more cups, and this is a good way to start. It will give them confidence going into the Liverpool final, and then obviously for the rest of the season. So they absolutely have to win it. I can't take another defeat in this competition. I need the gold badge.
I know. I really want to see us win as well. I'm feeling extremely nervous after
Same.
our recent performances. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I always try to be really positive, but also realistic, and I'm really feeling quite nervous. Who do you think we're going to see starting tomorrow? Do you think we're going to revert to the back three, maybe keep the back four that we've been playing recently? I will say Ziyech has looked a million times better since we started playing in a back four as well, and he's gotten back to his best. But what do you think?
They've got. I think we'll stick to the back four. I think they've got. In the last game they played the striker that they had, former Porto striker. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. I nearly butchered it in my own preview. But he plays right wing. He's one of their forwards. Quite strong, quite tall, but not the quickest. I think Rudiger and Malangsa will look to handle him on the right hand side. They've got Pereira, who will play obviously in the 10 or in attacking midfield. And then obviously the striker, Igalo, and then he's the main threat. Do you know what I mean? He's the guy to look out for, the former West Brom guy. He's the problem. Like I said, got a brace at Stamford Bridge, and obviously Igalo up front is not the quickest. So I think we can go over four at the back. I don't think we need extra cover. Yes, their attack is probably their strongest point of their team, and they have scored goals, but we need to take into account who they're playing against as well. The oppositions that they're playing against, we should be able to still beat them with our defense, especially when our defense is meant to be the foundation of our team, and they don't have the quickest forwards up there. So I'm expecting us to be able to handle that. But yeah, a four at the back and us, going on the attack and trying to score goals is the best thing to do. Not to sit and try and rest on our laurels and let them have the ball and whatnot. I think really you could put a pretty similar team out to what played Plymouth. Aspilicueta can stick. He was very good. Mason and Ziyech were great down the right with him. I think Pulisic, there could be a shout for him to start instead of Hudson-Odoi on the left-hand side, and then Kai for Lukaku as well, 100% in that team. And then I think you've basically got a nucleus of a good team. I think maybe a 4-2-3-1 you could look at, maybe a 4-3-3, but Mason going in between the pivot into the 10, because I think he linked up really well further forward with Ziyech, and I do want numbers up there. Just so we can assert our dominance a bit more. And down the right, we had some good link up with those two, good 1-2s, good chemistry. And then obviously if you bring Pulisic into that, Pulisic and Kai have shown glimpses of a good understanding in goals against Palace previously and whatnot. So I'd like to see those two on the pitch together. And it for me, when you play a front four of Ziyech, Mount, Pulisic and Kai, I know one thing I'm going to get is some decent football. I think, some good link up play. And hopefully loads of chances, and then we just need them to be able to shoot, which is obviously questionable. But yeah, that's what I would go with, I think.
I really hope that we start seeing Pulisic on the left, because I feel like I sound like a broken record with this, but everybody's saying, oh, his performances have really gone down, whatever. He has not played in his preferred position. I saw this analysis, I think it was by The Athletic, and it just showed the breakdown of where he played on the pitch under Lampard and then under Tuchel. And you could see under Lampard, he was consistently playing on that left wing. But under Tuchel, he's mainly been played as like a false nine or as a right winger or as a right wing back, which is not where he's at his strongest. And I think even against Liverpool, when he didn't have the strongest of games, he still scored a freaking brilliant goal from the left because he has it in him. And I think with Pulisic, he's somebody that needs a bit of consistency, which is completely normal to be playing. And it takes a while to get into the groove of things. And he started playing a little bit better with the men's US national team as well over the break. So I would really love to see Pulisic, because I think he's more of a goal threat than Callum is. We mentioned this previously, but I don't feel that Callum has been taking on as many players as he used to. I don't think he's been making the best decisions, getting his head up in time to pick out players, to take shots. And I'd like to see Pulisic personally given a go at that in that left-hand side. And like you said, I don't know why Kai has been benched. There was a while where he wasn't even coming off the bench as a sub. And I have no idea why that was happening. But I really think that he brings something to the team, and he's still really young, and we can cultivate that. What did you think about Timo's cameo against Plymouth? Does he have any chances of getting into the team tomorrow?
I think I think Timo had a nice 1-2 with Kai before the goal for Alonso, but then obviously Lukaku really. Well, I probably put more blame on the weight of pass for Lukaku there in trying to find Timo there at the end. But Timo's just Timo, it's the same thing every day. It's just lovely guy, lovely character, works hard, creates space, creates opportunities. I call him the space creator for a reason. But technically, the guy is just not good enough. He keeps miscontrolling the ball. He, for me, is one of the top two to go in the summer in terms of the attackers at
Who's
the
the
moment.
second one?
Lukaku,
Lukaku.
yeah. Those two, because those two are the most counter-attacking players in the team. They suit counter-attacking football, it would seem, and we're obviously trying to play with possession. So just in a basic matchup, they don't suit the team. We need attackers with good ball control who can link up play, who can have good technique, and Timo's not scoring goals either, which is the purely the fundamental basis that he's here to do is to score goals, and his shooting is not even of a level which you could even say is good enough to do that. So I think, I think Timo, for me, I wouldn't be starting him. I'd be going with Pulisic, Kai, Ziyech and Mason Mount. I'd stick with that as well for quite a few games. I'd do that for the final as well. I'd keep the likes of Werner and Lukaku on the fringes of things. I think Werner you can use in certain games if you're coming up against a high line and you need a bit of pacing behind, and he's definitely someone that can cause problems. But if we're looking for some sort of consistent chemistry and understanding up front, I would literally probably stick right now with Ziyech, Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi, and then Mason and Kai. But that left wing spot right now, I think Pulisic deserves to get a go. But Hudson-Odoi is always going to be around in that conversation until one of them shows some sort of consistency in general. So that's how I would look at it right now. I think technically I just can't stand it. I can't stand the lack of clear technical ability up front from certain players.
Yeah, and I really love that front four that you mentioned, and I would love to see that. How realistically we're going to how realistic it is that Lukaku is going to be benched for a couple of games, like we were saying earlier, due to his price and maybe like the politics that go into it. I don't know, but I totally agree that I hope that Kai gets a run of games, because I think that he has a really good potential. I think he has good instincts, but sometimes it just doesn't come off. I think we just kind of need to cultivate that a little bit. I do want to get to one question. Question for Ellie: how do you feel about Aspie going back to Spain? I'm convinced that he's going to Barcelona, guys, after his comments in the press conference. I think that was basically the nail in the coffin. As a Chelsea fan, I am so sad because I just think that he's one of the best players that we've ever had, and a Chelsea legend. And obviously this season, I think we've seen a pretty big drop off, and every other season we've said oh, but he still keeps the same quality. This season, I think we've seen that he's gone in a bit slower, maybe struggles a little bit more defensively to keep up. But what I love about Aspie is that he's always going to give you 110%, even if he's out of breath, if he's falling over, he's always going to give everything that he has on the pitch. And you see that when he scores and everything. As somebody who lives in Spain, I guess it is okay, because then maybe I can see him play.
Yeah, he's closer to home, so it's pros and cons. Do you know what I mean?
I wish he was coming to a Madrid team if I had to pick anything. But you have the Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid games. Maybe I could take a trip to Barcelona one day to see him play. But as a Chelsea fan, I'm pretty sad about it. I didn't want this. I've been dreading this day for years. Don't want this day to come. It's probably on the same level for me as when Eden Hazard left, around that level of.
Oh really?
Yeah, oh yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Do you know what it is with Aspie is I'm not too down on him going, because I don't want to see his decline in front of me. I don't want to see him. part of me wanted him to stay into the end of his career, obviously, just because he's a great professional to have around the place, and he's a great leader as well. He's developed into a great leader. But then also, I don't want to see him decline at Chelsea on the pitch. I don't want to see him disrespected because of that decline. And I also don't want us to be held back by not progressing into the future by having a squad space of someone that we know we can improve upon. And we're really mainly keeping him for emotional attachment. And obviously Ivanovic is a good example of his decline as well. So I think, and obviously the World Cup's coming up, and we have to remember that. I think if the World Cup wasn't coming up right so soon, then maybe Aspie would be all right with maybe playing a more deputy role. But I think he obviously probably wants to play in the World Cup as well, so that might factor into things. So yeah, I'm all right with it. It would have been ideal for him to stay until 2023, and then we go and get Livramento from Southampton, go and bring him back. But it is what it is, you know. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That maybe he's like, I would love to stay at Chelsea, but I want to be playing more consistently because I want a spot in the World Cup. I keep forgetting that it's like at the end of this year.
Yeah.
That because we just had the Euros. I didn't even know that the Winter Olympics were going on because we don't have cable or anything. We just
yeah, God.
and I was like, oh, it's the Olympics. Oh shit. Carlita says, I hope we win the World Cup for Aspie. He'll officially win everything with Chelsea. I really hope so. Could you imagine? That would be so nice. That would be really nice. Almighty Blue says, don't you think it's going to be a huge loss, mainly because he, along with Alonso, who may also leave, are the only Premier League winners in our squad? Can't buy that easily. I'd have him around us what JT did in 17.
Yeah. I think certain players, for me, I don't prioritize what I want. I more prioritize what's best for them. And that was similar with Petr Cech when he went to Arsenal. Obviously, no one wants to see Petr Cech go to Arsenal. It would have been great for him to just stay as deputy to Thibaut Courtois. But sometimes players just, they need to play games. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, for our selfishness, we want to keep them and have them as depth. But if Aspie wants to play games and he wants to make that Spain squad, then we have to let him go because he's given so much to this football club. The least we can do is let him go and finish his career playing football. And if he wants to go back to Spain in the sun, I can't really blame him. Do you know what I mean? Like he's been in the cold UK for enough of the time now. Go back to his native country. You know, we have to remember footballers when they move to these countries, it's not easy. They have to learn another language. They have to get used to surroundings that they're not used to. Some of his favorite food is probably back home as well. All these things come into account. He's given us a lot of time, a lot of service, a lot of professionalism. He's one of those players that whatever he wants, I'm happy with it. He deserves that. He deserves that.
He does. I have to say the weather in Spain has been like freaking ridiculous. Like it's been so warm. I go out without a coat or anything during the day when there's sunlight. It's incredible. So the Spanish sun is real. All right, guys, my laptop is at 13%, but we've also been streaming for almost an hour, so I think that this is a pretty good place to
don't want to take these risks.
Yeah, don't want to risk it. Matthias, quickly before I forget, what's a score prediction for the game tomorrow?
I'm gonna go 2-0. And I think, yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. I want to go higher, but I'm going to humble myself and go 2-0. Mainly because we just suck at scoring goals, you know?
It's not the 2-0 or the 2-1, like a counter, like a weird, cheap goal to concede. I'll say 2-0 so that I'm being more on the optimistic side. But at the end of the day, I just want to freaking win this game and win the final as well. But Matisse, as always, it's a pleasure to have you guys. Don't forget, we do this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. UK time. So keep it on your calendars. But Matisse, let everybody know where they can find you.
Appreciate it as always. MAH, you can find me on YouTube. I just uploaded a preview for this game tomorrow, so check it out if you wish. Had a lot of fun as always. Just me and Saj busting jokes on that one. Subscribe and forget all the other social medias. Just check YouTube out, man. That's the main priority these days. And also Twitch. If you want to check out Twitch as well. Daily content on both platforms. On YouTube, I'm back now after the holiday last week, so daily content on YouTube and Twitch coming up.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Guys, if you like this video, make sure to sub to my channel. We're pushing for 11K after like 6 months or something crazy. So please sub, like this video. And yeah, I have a lot of content coming up on my channel. Instagram has been doing very well for content. I post these little like 1-minute analysis videos and people seem to have liked them. So my Instagram, I actually doesn't have the underscore anymore. It's just Elizabeth Hellenic. But yeah, follow me on there because those videos have been doing pretty well. And I post tactical analysis every Tuesday and then like reviews about the Chelsea games as well. So guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Really, really appreciate it. That's so kind, honestly. Guys, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great evening. Thanks for spending some time with us. And until next time, we're up. Bye.